something I've been very acutely aware of recently, I think perhaps because I've just turned 60, is living in the moment, really, really living in the moment, and understanding what it is that you're doing, but instead of going, I've got to get that finished because I've got to move on to the next step, just no, just enjoy that step.
Look at me now. Be honest, because you're very good at being honest with me. How much are you, and I'm looking at myself here actually as well, how much are we really living in the moment? And I'm talking about that kind of observing life as it happens, savouring the view out of the window, as we tell our youngest when we're driving in the car. We should be good at this stuff, shouldn't we? You and I, because we're photographers. I know we have a real mix of styles and levels of skill, from those who embrace the wondrous tech that is the humble, not so humble smartphone camera that auto straightens everything in our life, right to something like a Deardorff 810 plate camera, that is, where you carry this great hulking wooden creature the size of a baby grand piano around, like tuning a piano in the wind, really. No algorithms, no help, just you and a black cloth, and all the time in the world. We have all... Cue the Louis Armstrong song. This show today is really about slowing down. And we're using photography and processing, film photography, as a living, breathing metaphor during the entire show. In absolute contrast to the wondrously frenetic nature of the India special, which I know should have been this week. I can see you looking at me. But extra milers will know I've been in Portugal on me travels again, which slowed me down with beautiful irony, actually, to such an extent that this episode is coming before India. It was supposed to be the other way around, really. You'll know my friend Giles Penfound by now, a former head of photography for the British Army. His pictures are in many archives, many important museum archives. There are times where we've walked together for this show, and he's wonderfully shot the breeze, as it were, where he's shared his experience of the then and now, sometimes conflicted minds as well about photography and what he's doing and where he's taking his photography. He is a brilliant documentary photographer. And I might add, he is kicking off next week's Encounters Workshop Stroke Experience in London on Thursday 24th and Friday 25th of April. That is, for anybody who listens slightly behind the timeline, as it were. I'm constantly, and I make no excuses for this, talking about and learning about Giles, actually. Despite knowing him as a dear friend and photographer for over 2 decades, I still keep learning about him. Only the other day, he casually dropped into conversation how in the middle of a conflict zone, he loaned the founder of the 7 Agency an 18mm lens. I was so shocked, I didn't think to ask, did you get the lens back? Shall I drop him an email when I ask him for an interview? But today is probably one of the most thorough print shows that we've done. And we've had some fine printers on this show, but I don't want you thinking how that somehow, what's the word? How you say in English? Discludes you? Is there such a word? Have we just invented a new word? That's the problem of thinking on the fly for me. I don't want you to think this... here we go. I don't want you to think this doesn't involve you. That's better. Or won't be of interest if you have no interest or don't shoot film. Because I think IMHO, as the youth say, that it's a show of many gems. And I will say this. It wasn't really supposed to be a show. It started out as a feature I was simply recording for the Extra Mile. But as I was recording it, and as Giles gently guided me through the process of processing the film that I shot in India onto producing contact sheets and then onwards again to the actual print, it became a photo walk show and an Extra Mile. It became a thing, I suppose, in the way that many single images for a lot of folk who write wonderful letters into this show, and we have so many great letters in the coming months. It became, this thing in the way that a lot of single photos go on to become a project. So this show is a love letter to photography. This is a show about the passage of time. It's in part about India, as it turns out, an even better hors d'oeuvre for the India special to come. It's definitely a show about patience. This is, I suppose, it's a workshop in printing in places. There's some wonderful teachings from Giles, a photographer who's printed in all corners of the world, I suppose you could say, in all manner of darkrooms. And it's a show about, overused word alert coming, it's a show about passion. I want you to feel like you're the third person in the room, well, fourth actually, because I bark a lot. Barney? This is the moment you bark to prove you're there, because Barney was there for some of it anyway. So it's he, me, you, and Barnes, he being Giles, that is, in Giles's darkroom, or his Narnia, as you're about to find out.
Today on the Photo Walk.
Yeah, so this is where I'm able to be the photographer that I want to be and make the photographs, truly photographs, that I want to make. One of the things I love about it is, so this film that I'm processing now for you, so the light took 100,000 years odd to the photon to go from the centre of the sun to the outside of the sun, and then 8 minutes to get from the outside of the sun to India, to bounce off a subject, to get reflected, refracted, diffused. This idea of the passage of time really, really interests me and in some ways concerns me. And I love being 60. I just adore it. I mean, I'm sure with you, with anybody listening to this, they will have depending on how they're feeling at the time, they will have an importance that they will attach to a picture, or the scene that they were in. That the picture is just a remembrance of that scene.
That's Giles Penfound, my dear friend, my guest on the show today. The show, by the way, starts in a moment in a completely unexpected fashion. All will make sense, I promise. Welcome along as we make our photo walks each week, photographically sketchbooking our time together, accompanied usually by the letters and inspirational stories you send in, plus talking with special guests from around the world. It's certainly a one-of-a-kind podcast where your letters, your thoughts make the show what it is. The red lights of the darkroom go on in a moment, so we're not exactly walking that far today. But before they do, I want to personally thank those who are Patreon members of our community, or extra milers as you are affectionately known, because your belief in this show, your desire to keep us walking together week after week, is the why and the how of this podcast. And you'll hear about them later on in the show today, but thank you also to arthelper.ai, which helps you sell your photos online by making the posts, the mock-ups and the marketing emails for you. Try it free for 30 days with code PhotoWalk by going to arthelper.ai. Plus, we're supported by our friends at Lowa Boots, spelt L-O-W-A, you know that. And if you need new boots or walking shoes, then you'll be pleased to know that by using the code PhotoWalk, all one word, on all the W's, lowa.co.uk, you can receive 25% off the price of boots or shoes up to the end of, well, it's not long to go now, April 2025. You'll find the links for Lowa, L-O-W-A, and artlist.ai on the show page. So, shall we walk? Checklist out. Coffee, oh, plenty of that today, check. Walking boots, Lowa of course, check. Have you got some spare film or an extra SD card? Check. And a special addition to the list, do you have a knife, fork and HP sauce? Let's walk, or rather start, in the kitchen.
How many would you like? 1 or 2?
1 or 2 what?
1 or 2 rolls.
Oh no, just 1 is fine, isn't it? Can't have 2.
Why not?
There's no adults here, so I suppose we can.
There's no adults.
There is a track called, what was it, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. And it's Pink Floyd. I don't know of it. Is it famous?
Oh, I don't think it's very famous, but it's on, I think it's Atom Heart Mother album.
Right.
And it's just them having a breakfast.
Is that it?
Pretty much.
Wow.
I don't think there's much music to it, but it's pretty cool.
Well, this will be Giles's Psychedelic Breakfast. This is, I think this is becoming more infamous than the Garibaldi biscuits now, the bacon sarnie. And I apologise to all those listeners who don't eat bacon, don't eat meat. You'll have to substitute the filling for something else in your mind. Giles has just said, do you want one or two pieces of or two baps? I'm thinking, no, you can't. You can only do one bacon bap, can't you? But then I remember the adults aren't in the room.
That's right. Yeah, so we're allowed to.
We can have as many as we like.
The lunatics are in charge of the asylum.
Well, I'm going while you do because this is the start of a day where we're going to process and film, and then we'll end up with the contact prints, and it's starting like any good story should start with breakfast. So there we go. Yeah. Look at that.
Some lovely rashes of bacon. Whoa. Get the old scissors in there. So when Nicola goes off to work, as she did this morning early, so she's in the office today. Normally I'd have breakfast with her, but I had to have what I call some sympathy toast.
Oh. Sympathy toast?
Yeah.
So have you already eaten?
No, I've had a slice of toast. So it's a pre-breakfast breakfast. Just I didn't want Nick to feel
like a pre-wash.
It was. I didn't want her to feel lonely while she was having breakfast.
Oh, so you had breakfast with her?
Well, just a piece of
Does she know that I was coming round to raid your bacon?
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, I've got a list of questions, and while that's starting to nicely fry, I've got a list of questions I wrote called In the Fryer.
Ooh.
Yes, these are actually quite challenging questions that I haven't asked you before.
Right, okay.
Some of them you can say pass, but only twice. In the fryer, are you able to answer questions as you prepare breakfast?
I definitely would not admit to multitasking, because no man is allowed to do
look at that!
But I'm happy to answer questions, dear chap.
Okay, in the fryer, first question. Have you ever taken a photograph you were proud of but knew you had no right to take?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit grisly. Bosnia, 1993. There's a massive car bomb, loads of victims, and I took a picture of a British Army soldier basically carrying a dead person, which was just awful. So that's the one picture that I always felt that I didn't have the right to take, but I took anyway. So.
What's one ethical line you've crossed in the name of the story?
Wow.
I told you these would be in the fryer.
No, they're really good. It's an ethical line. My God, I can't think. I try to be. I'm no Boy Scout, but I've tried to be as honest as I possibly can. Perhaps I've overridden people's desires or wishes sometimes. I've never manufactured anything. Oh, right, okay, I have. So again, very happy story, it's a big up for me. In 2003, during the Iraq War, there was we were across the line at the gas and oil separation plants, and there was a big prisoner of war camp there, and I was photographing the Iraqi prisoners. Poor sods, honestly, just actually desperate. Anyway, and so I was on the bund line, and I saw a dove, a white dove, and so I wanted to take pictures of that with the prisoners, and I took two pictures, and the best picture, the dove's eye was closed, so I cloned the other eye on.
Oh.
So there we go. Naughty.
Do you know, I never thought you would do something like that with all our conversations. Have you never admitted it?
I've never admitted that. That's the only time I've ever done it, and I never did it again. But
I'm half expecting a phone call from you this evening to say, could you take that bit out? I hope you don't, though.
No. But I did, in my defence, in the metadata, I did say this is a composite image.
Right.
It's a bit of a, yeah, it's a bit of a, you know what. Anyway.
What was when was the last time you saw somebody else's image and thought, oh, I missed that?
Wow, I think so often. I don't know about I missed that, but I wish I'd have done that, or a different idea.
What's your cloth? You're going to burn it.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to set the kitchen alight.
Anyway, more importantly, do you want an egg as well?
Yes, please. Yeah. Was it ever in question?
You see, you did say, can I answer questions and cook at the same time? Clearly, I can't.
What oil are you using?
Olive oil.
How much have you just put in? You know that stuff's expensive now.
Don't, because it makes me seem extravagant, but I'm just an idiot.
When I use olive oil at home, I'm allowed to put a dab in, then I have to use a bit of kitchen stuff to spread it around. Yeah. You're just pouring it in like it's water, heaven's sakes. It's like watching Keith Floyd cook. Sorry, somebody else's image. I thought you missed that. That's a tricky one, isn't it?
Oh God, these are really difficult questions. I've seen.
Would you like oil with your egg?
Look at it. Look,
It's like the channel in there.
This is a proper greasy spoon fryer. This is not some, whatever it is. I think more often than not, you see pictures from places where you photograph and you see other photographers, and you kind of go, I wish I'd have done. I wish I'd have seen that. I wish I'd have done that. I can't think of one recently.
No. All right. Do you think your presence has ever made a bad situation worse? These are very. When I wrote these, I thought they were tricky, but they could end up with a lot of. It seems almost wrong. We're cooking breakfast and discussing some very serious things, but
that's the kind of the spread.
The yin and yang of life, isn't it?
It is. I don't think it's made things worse. I don't think it's necessarily helped. God, today of all days, as a memorial, when I was taking pictures of the sort of the victims of the massacre, on the first day of the massacre, and British Army soldiers, these amazing guys from the Royal Irish Regiment, basically saving lives. I was just taking pictures. So, was I helping? Was I getting in the way? It's a moot point.
Everybody has a job in the wheel.
I'm just doing one egg and one bacon one because I haven't got the mental capacity to do two, clearly.
Oh, hang on. This is looking good. Oh, and coffee as well. Look, you've laid it all out. Look at you. And we got the special cups.
Yeah, we're not,
goodness.
This is not
my mother-in-law would say something like, "That's half a cup or something."
No, it's a nice cup because you can have you can have lots and lots more.
Can refill.
That's what's rather nice about it. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm being very kind of.
No, you're being very good because you are. You're having to multi-skill at the same time. But somebody said your work was more about you than the people in the frame. Would they be wrong?
Yes. Yeah.
Straight in there with that.
No, absolutely. Oh, look. No work. I believe no work is solely about the subject, the person, the story, and all the rest of it. Because it can't be. It has to be. It has to be about an element of the photographer. So but is it all about it? Absolutely not. No, definitely not.
This one.
That sounded quite defensive, really, didn't it?
No, that's fine. I'm just aware that you're holding a kitchen. You're holding a blade. This one is maybe I should step back for this one.
Is this a tricky one?
It's a tricky one. If your archive disappeared tomorrow, would any part of you feel relieved?
No. Not now. If so, my archive consists of all my negatives, and I would be absolutely bereft.
Crestfallen.
Crestfallen. Thank you. If that went. But when I managed to destroy my digital archive, I wasn't bothered.
You weren't bothered, were you? No. Although there is work in that digital archive from the army, of course.
Oh yeah, no, there's loads. There's loads. Yeah, there's loads of it. But
you're not. You don't feel so connected to that work.
No, and also I'm not really bothered because that's held with people like Getty and the Imperial War Museum and all those sort of things. So it's not lost. It's just lost by me. But if I'd lost my legs, I'd be absolutely, I'd be shattered. I really would be.
I've only got 2 more questions. Look at that, and breakfast is done. Make it sound like a football chant. Have you ever photographed somebody you didn't like but still tried to make them look sympathetic?
Yeah, lots of people. Yeah, I mean, I can't bring one at a particular moment to my mind, but or speak coherently, clearly at the moment. But no, absolutely. I think lots of times you do that. I think you have to. I think certainly as a commercial photographer, I mean, you must know that as a wedding photographer, that you, not these you don't like, but you kind of go, if you, whatever, I'm rambling. You definitely come across situations where you unaccountably feel sympathetic towards a particular person out of a group. And sometimes you're wrong, I mean, I suppose the other side of this, I've definitely photographed people who, if were I to sit down and think about it rationally, I wouldn't go within 100 miles of them, because but you kind of have to, and also you have to not pretend, but I think you have to put on a suit to get access, and access is everything. So if you just be kind and gentle and nice to this person, perhaps you're being a bit duplicitous, I don't know, but I am definitely waffling now.
I think we should have breakfast. I've got one more question. I'll save it. Look at this, though. That was as a piece of radio or podcasting. Don't think I've ever done that before. We're doing something, actually preparing something that's really quite light and jolly, whilst talking about very serious subjects. And I just hope I haven't chuckled or giggled at the wrong moment, and if I have, it would be a defence mechanism for not being sure I was asking appropriate questions at the right time. But there we go, here comes the coffee. Let's have some breakfast. I feel like I have brought you into the inner sanctum of creativity. It's a place I've been talking about on the podcast for a while, actually, and I'm so delighted to see it now completed. Only about a month, maybe 2 months ago, I was helping build I wasn't doing a lot of building, but I was cutting some wood for my old mucker Giles to try to put together his darkroom. And as I stand within this, how big is this? This is about, 10 metres down there by... 9 metres by 3 metres. This is the new darkroom belonging to Giles Penfound. It looks fantastic.
I love it.
I know. This is your place.
This is darkroom version 3.0.
Yes, you have had a couple before.
Yeah, well, this is the third. This is actually...
Is this one remaining?
If I want to keep my marriage and my friendships and my sanity, it definitely is.
If you ever tear this down, I think nobody will talk to you again. Your wife, me,
any sense
all
of
your
credibility
friends
that I may or may not have had will disappear very, very quickly.
Well, can you describe it as we come through the door? On the left-hand side, there's the only remnant of anything digital in here, which is an iMac 27-inch. That's it.
Yeah.
The rest of it is analog.
Yeah. So the idea was, and the great passion for him was to go back to what I know best and what I love best, and that's film, and that's printing, silver gelatin printing, and shooting on film, and the whole analog process. The digital side is really important. It's kind of important, not just that old saying, throwing the baby away with the bathwater. And I was almost in danger of doing that, but recognizing that the digital side has a really good function, because it's a way of communicating. It's a way of letting people know what I do, but also it's a way of me making my books, which are really, really important. But it is just a part of. Whereas the darkroom is the real deal, I suppose. It's the centre of passion for me. As I said to Nicola, I don't go into the darkroom, I go into Narnia. So welcome everybody.
Into Narnia.
Welcome. Thank you to C.S. Lewis.
That's the sign we're going to have. We're not going to put a sign on it doesn't have a sign on the door yet, but you should just put a sign up saying Narnia.
I think that's definitely what I'll do.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got a little plastic slip on the inside of the door that I'm able to, when the dark curtain's up, I'm able to put a notice on. And I think having just Narnia in there is a good idea.
Absolutely perfect.
But yeah, so this is, I think, in all seriousness, this is where I'm able to be the photographer that I want to be and make the photographs, truly photographs, that I want to make. This is an opportunity for me to really indulge in passion's an overused word, but there's absolute love affair that I have with photography and film photography. There's an interesting knock on with this, and there's an overused word, but there's a mindfulness to this. There's a gentleness, there's a calmness, and there's a specific intent to make this glacially slow. There really is. I'm not interested in rushing any of this. Okay, so like today, I'm only contact printing, and it'll take as long as it takes. I've got 50 odd sheets of film to contact print, but that's what I'll do. And but to be able to do it in a particular way, and this truly. Your dog is in.
I tell you what, break away from our conversation for a second. Barney, stop it. Honestly, we're trying to record a program here and you're sitting here scratching yourself. Stay still, be quiet. Honestly.
If I wasn't loving, darling, I can't work.
I can't work with this.
Possibly work in these conditions.
Yes, glacial.
Yeah, there is no need for me to rush. That's what I realised with my work, with my stories, with everything I did. There is no need to rush it. So rather than rush it and do it badly, I'd rather take it slowly and do it, in my definition, really well.
Which is what analogue and film offers you. Take me round this darkroom then, because you've got it as a flow. Yes. You come through the door.
Yes.
So the door, if you imagine looking at a building, and on the left-hand side, as you walk towards this building, there is a door. You come through the door, you look right, and the first thing you're met with is books, your big bookcase with books. I know that books are a really important part of your process. You like to produce your own, but there's also many books here. Who have we got? You can tell a photographer by his or her collection of books. There's lots of Kudelka here. Salgado, obviously. Cartier-Bresson. Yours is far more organised than mine. I have my Cartier-Bresson mixed up with my other book, Gary Ramage's, with my... you actually have got some semblance of order here.
No, but that's interesting. This whole thing is about order. This whole thing is about absolute control and order, and that's how I like to work it. So in terms of the layout of my books, if I want something, I need to know I can go to it and it's there. In terms of the layout of the darkroom, I started from the point of view when I first had this idea of doing the darkroom of what is the end result, okay? Which sounds a strange thing to say, but the end result for me was a 20 by 24 silver gelatin print. So everything worked from that size of print. And in order to do that, the sink had to be arranged in a certain way. The enlargers had to be arranged in a certain way. The cupboards need to be a certain size that will accommodate these final size prints. But then, in terms of where the layout is, I mean, I like to keep it spotlessly clean. There'll be stains because of the chemicals.
Well, it's painted white. This whole room is very clinical.
Yeah, in a way, it needs to be for me. I've never understood darkrooms that look like a grenade range.
Some people like that. I've been in a few dark rooms, quite a few actually. In fact, I don't think, apart from the Inverness dark room, which has a real order about it because lots of people use it, so you can't have clutter everywhere. Every other dark room I've been in, and I'm just about to mortally offend 2 or 3 people, honestly, it probably fits the description you've just said. I would call it homely is a word that my wife would use. Homely. This is not homely. It is homely. It's your home, but it's impeccably clean, tidy, and white.
Yeah, no, but for me it has to be because, in terms of the production of the film, processing the prints, and I want that's where the control is to have, because I know technically exactly what's going on, and then I can predict to a certain degree what the outcome will be. But if I know all the steps and I know everything's clean and everything's done, if something turns out wrong, I can retrace my steps and go, it was because of that. Now there's a certain degree of just letting things fall as they may, but I can't work in mess. I really can't. And it's just I like it. It's just everything's laid out and But also it goes to this idea of, for me, it's about a mindful space. It's about a mindful experience of coming here, processing film, doing a print, and something I've been very acutely aware of recently, I think perhaps because I've just turned 60, is living in the moment, really, really living in the moment, and understanding what it is that you're doing. But instead of going, I've got to get that finished because I've got to move on to the next step. Just no. Just enjoy that step. Enjoy that time. Because that time is never going to be here again. So this is just my thing of enjoying that time.
Can I observe something about you? This is an impeccably clean, tidy room, no complications. But having known you now for 2 decades, your mind is like, well, I'm going to use, it's probably a very ugly metaphor, but you used a grenade thing just a moment ago. Your mind is like somebody threw a grenade in the room often.
Yeah, this is why I need a darkroom.
This is why you need this. Right, let's move on to the next bit of it. So then we got the sinks.
Yep.
Sinks on the right.
Lovely hand-built sinks.
Yes, it was going to be a big plastic sink that you bought from a darkroom supplier, but in the end, you made it out of wood. You've marine varnished it or put 1,000 layers of... What did you say to me? In a nuclear war, we probably shouldn't joke about that right now, but this will be the only thing still left standing.
Yeah, and I have several friends who've earmarked cupboards. It's like that film Fallout on Netflix.
Oh God!
You can come and reserve a cupboard space if it all goes up. No, but this you helped build this. So this is.
I didn't paint it with five or six layers of gloss.
Yeah, 10 or 15.
10 or 15. So it's lovely. It's really nicely organised. You got your water heater here, timer on the wall, print cleaner. Perfect.
Yeah, no,
print wash rather, not clean.
But it's great, and it's just a nice setup. But it's set up in a process and a flow. It's actually the proper side of it is on as you come
started
in.
the wrong side.
No,
it's the left hand side.
Not at all. So the left hand side, you have a separation between the dry and the wet, and so you load up. And then when the films are, because they dry, bring them to the wet side. And when they're wet, they go into the dry, and then they go.
And then they go right. Okay, yeah.
But it's again, there's lots of bits and pieces here, but most of them are hidden away. So there's a sort of clarity and a cleanliness.
Well, we're going to process some film in a minute, but over here we've got 2 enlargers. Now, 2 enlargers. You are going to train people, and you're going to have a maximum of 2 people working in here at any one time, never more. No. So there's 2 enlargers. They're both the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Uniformity.
If only my mind was vague semblance of that.
No, it's good. It works. Why these enlargers?
Well, they're Lights Focomat enlargers, and it sort of plays into my absolute obsession with everything Leica. But they're brilliant. They're brilliant enlargers. And they work well, and they're solid, and they work really well. And I've used them in the past, so they work very, very well. It means that 2 people can be in here at any one time, with me kind of guiding them and showing them how to print. But they can print independently of each other. So there's some baffles in there. So if somebody sort of opens up the lens or whatever and has a light leak, it doesn't affect the other person. No. But the point is, and this was important for me, is this is not. The financial side of my practice is really, really important because it enables the practice. And having guests in here is really important to me. Not just from I want to earn money out of people. It's way beyond that. It's this idea of bringing in people who may have once been in a darkroom or have never been in a darkroom. But rather than teaching, just introduce this experience. Just, the smells, the sounds, the sights of the red light, or when you're putting film on a spiral, and all those different sort of things of truly having an experience of it. But also that's got to come from a point of view of solidity and meaningfulness, if that makes any sense. The reason there are 2 enlargers in here is because I will use 2. So when I'm making big prints, one of the enlargers will be set up. I do a thing called pre-flashing. It's a fairly complicated way of bringing your highlights down on the paper. And so one of the enlargers will be set up for that, and I can print on the other enlarger. And so they both have a function.
Yeah, there's an educational and a personal function.
Yes, yeah. And so for me, it was just really important that this darkroom wasn't just a, for want of a better term, just a commercial space. It had to be, extension of my absolute love and joy and practical use of making photographs.
Well, you're Narnia.
There we go, and it is.
I just want to point out one more thing. This, come in. This is a print dryer, isn't it? Negative dryer, not print dryer. Sorry, negative dryer.
A film dryer.
It's a film dryer. It's a long, thin metal cabinet. You have your clips up there to hold one end of the negative, and Barney, don't go in there, darling. Well, you probably fit in there,
it's
actually.
Just dog hair in my neg dryer. It's not a great idea.
Well, what I like about this neg dryer is because it comes with a heater at the bottom, but you've actually, it doesn't work. So you replaced it with your own Heath Robinson system, which works very well.
Well, there's a tail to it. I'll make it quick. But so I bought the dryer, and because I love everything clean, I took it all apart and cleaned it, and it looked like the bottom of it had been kept in a Hoover bag. There was so much dust, which combined with wet eggs is not a good idea. I took it all apart, cleaned it beautifully, resprayed it, put it back together again, and blew up.
Sorry to laugh.
This is why don't let anything serious with mechanics.
You didn't do the electrics in here, did you?
No, definitely. I've got a grown up to do that. Yeah. So romantically, I now use two 200-watt lamps,
which are below this panel.
Below this black panel, so they heat up.
Yeah.
So good old-fashioned, inefficient light bulbs.
Yeah.
So my romantic thing is I'm drying my films with light.
Yeah. Whilst also leaving the carbon footprint of a 747.
I'm an analog photographer. What do you expect?
Let's close the door on that. And we've got some... Now, the film that I brought, we're about to turn the light off. Anything could happen now because Barney will just walk around and probably get under our feet. But we're going to turn the lights off and we're going to process 3 rolls of film.
We are.
I'll let you talk us through it a little bit as we go along.
Okay.
And I think that'll be the end of this particular edition, as it were, of talking with you, because I'd like to come back and do another edition where we're actually printing the work. Right. Now, the 3 rolls of film that you're about to process, I have an admission to make. There should be 10, because you gave me a challenge. You said a roll of film a day while you're in India. I managed 3. It's difficult running a thing for other people and doing your own photography at the same time.
Well, you've got a fair excuse, haven't you? You're looking after these lovely guests of yours, and also shooting on your digital. So I'll forgive you.
Yeah, I certainly wish I'd done more. But I've got 3 rolls of film.
There we go.
What's on them, I know roughly what's on them. Each day there was a new story as such, but the quality, well,
I'm sure it'd be brilliant.
That's a different story. Lights out, here we go. It's the Photo Walk show. In between my recordings with Giles, I'm walking. I'm in the countryside. Beautiful day today. It's the day before Good Friday. This show comes out on Good Friday, doesn't it? If you recognise Easter, that is. What have you got, Barnes? A stick? Oh, don't grab that one. That's one with lots of thorns and stuff on it. Let's find another one. No, don't. Well, you see, the trouble is, if I chase him, it turns into a game. Barnes, come here. Look what I've got. Bacon bap. Even that's not turning his head. I'll walk the other way and he'll think, hang on, I've lost this game. It's the Photo Walk show of a Friday. If you'd like to send in letters to the show, I'd love to hear from you. stories@photowalk.show. stories@photowalk.show is the email address. So just breaking away from Giles just for a mo, for the one-word assignment. and a few other bits of housekeeping. Here comes your challenge for this month. I'll tell you how you can take part in a moment. It is a challenge, an assignment set by Jim Richardson.
The photo walk assignment.
A one-word assignment. What word would you choose?
Context.
And why context? Give me some context for the context.
Context is all the things you put within the frame of a photograph that contribute to make it into a storytelling picture.
Right.
It's how we know and how we interpret photographs when we look at them. And it's hard to do, but it's such a valuable skill to think of about how you do it and why it contributes to making pictures better.
Can you give me an example of a picture you've taken that shows this context?
Sure. Go find when I went out to the Isle of Muck and I was photographing Lawrence McEwen up on top of his island, Muck, and within the photograph you have Lawrence, and Lawrence is a great portrait. I mean, he's got these eagle eyes and this hair blowing, and he's just a great character.
Wonderful.
But with it is his sheepdog is over on one side of the frame, and the island is stretching out into the sea, and the bay is over on the right side of the frame, and the Isle of Egg is in the background, and all of that. So it's not just like, a tight portrait of Lawrence, which would have been good too, but it's Lawrence in context. It's Lawrence in his environment. He's in his world, and this is what his world looks like, and it enriches what we know about him because there is context.
Best of luck. Send your photos to stories@photowalk.show. If you can resize them to 2,500 pixels wide, you are an absolute star. If you can't, don't worry. I'll do the heavy lifting. Just send me the full res. Don't send me those ones that turn into 200 pixel wide things that the phone or iPad or whatever is squeezed within a pixel of its life. No watermarks, no borders, please, but do include your social feeds, your website, your Flickr, your Glass, or wherever we can enjoy more of your work. If you can put the full URL down, that really does help, rather than just @amazing photographer or whatever your @ is. The pictures and stories go onto the assignments page, and some may well also feature on our Photo Walk Instagram, which helps get more eyes on your work and helps our community to grow. I'll be sure to tag back to your profile, of course. And remember, you can win this month, just for a few more weeks, a pair of Lowa boots, spelled L-O-W-A, of course, for the trail. If you send in a great story about your walking adventures with a camera, we'll be giving the boots away before we actually read the stories, such is the way of the last couple of months. But that's not a problem. Get those stories in, and we'll select one. Barney will put his paw on the into the hat and pick one out or something like that. Send them to stories@photowalk.show for this one, just for this one, because of posting and logistics. It's just for UK listeners, this one. We'll expand that out at some stage, I'm absolutely sure.
Before we return to this week's show, my thanks to those who keep us walking each week, such as our patrons, you know who you are, and now arthelper.ai for the next few months. If you've ever thought about selling your photography online but haven't a clue where to start, I think Art Helper could probably help you because it's made for people like us. Here's how it works. You upload a photo, magically and instantly professional content is made for you, such as social media posts, email newsletters, even full Substack articles, all in your own voice. It can also generate hundreds of mock-ups for every image you upload, things like your work framed, so people get a real understanding of what your photograph could look like on their wall. It helps you connect with the right buyers and even suggests pricing based on your market. And unlike most AI tools, it has an art protection guarantee, which means something very important: your images are never used for AI training. Free to try, and Art Helper is giving our listeners a special deal. Go to arthelper.ai, use the code PHOTOWALK and get 30 days free of the pro version. I'll have a link on the show page. It's a great way to start selling your art or growing the business you already have. And thank you, arthelper.ai, for your belief in this show. Right, back now to the passage of time. Developing some films with Giles, films that aren't exposed in India.
Right, so what I did in the light, I laid out the daylight developing tank, and so it's split into its bits and parts with the inner cone and the lid, and then the spirals are laid out. So I know pretty much exactly where they are in front of me. So I can put my arms up. I know that's the developing tank. Those are the 3 spirals with I've got film loaded onto 2 of them, and then one I couldn't take the leader out in the light, so I'm going to just split that apart. So I know they are. So what I'll do is I'll pick up one of the spirals. I know there's films on it, and I'll pull out the film, and then it's just a question of.
Now you're putting that back onto the spiral at super, or onto the spiral at super speed. Each year in Scotland, Matt tells us don't do it at super speed, but that's probably because he's worried that we've not done it enough, that we'll end up snapping the film or snagging it or something like that.
He's actually got a point. You don't want to do it too quickly.
What have you just dropped on the floor?
So what I've done, I've finished rolling the spiral. All the film is on the spiral now, and then I cut off the film canister.
Yeah.
And so now what I've done is I've taken the spiral, put it onto the centre column, which now goes into the daylight developing tank.
You were saying Matt had a point.
No, he has a point, because it's plastic, so you get plastic against plastic. You don't want to get static electricity build up, and if you get static electricity build up, it'll create light, and you can fog it. So but also you don't. Sometimes these Patterson reels are brilliant, but the problem with them is that if there's a slight bit of moisture in the spiral, it'll make the film stick. So you don't want to graunch your film and all the rest of it. So it's just look. I think like anything, it's knowing what your film does. And bizarrely enough, I just realised I had my eyes closed.
Why are you closing your eyes? It's dark.
Who knows?
I know I do that, funny enough. I close my eyes.
Who knows?
The American tanks are somewhat different, or the spirals, rather,
they're
are somewhat
lovely.
different, aren't they? Do you prefer working with them?
I'll probably gravitate to them. I really like them because they are one of the things I like about them. They're smaller, they require less chemicals. I think they're much easier to load up. Actually, what I'm doing now is I'm basically pulling apart the canister with a what we used to refer to in the army as a church key to open bottles of beer.
Church key.
And so I'm cutting off the film leader now. This is lovely. So doing it all in. So when you're doing this, the great thing is you've got to imagine what you're doing. You've got to picture in your head what you're doing. So I'm cutting off the end of the film leader and one of the corners so it doesn't get stuck. And now I'm just feeling around for the 2 gates to load in the film, and I'm just, there we go, pulling it into the gate, and it's all in there. Oh, it's lovely. It is.
Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely.
Oh, lovely.
It's like a food program for you. It's a cookery program.
But I think it's the process. You know, so much of the joy of photography for me is about the process. Is about that kind of the delight. Look, ultimately, what matters is the subject. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but that which you are photographing and the story that revolves around it. That's the ultimate importance. But actually, it's all of this that matters. So
how many spirals, by the way, will fit into a tank?
Well, this one we can load 5 in.
Wow.
So we just got 3. So I've loaded them all up. They're all in the centre column, and now I've got it looks like a funnel. And that goes into the daylight developing tank.
That's your light lock.
I click it on, and it's all locked up. So now I can turn on the lights.
Oh, my eyes!
And this is where you realise you haven't put the spirals into the canister, and we're all ready to go.
How exciting!
We're all ready to process.
So now we put the chemicals in and do the agitation and the photographic okey-cokey, as I call it. In a nutshell, try and describe the process in a nutshell.
This is lovely because I'm sure this has got something to do with
I'm testing you now for when you do these workshops.
Quantum mechanics. So the idea of You ever, in school we were talked about physics and chemistry, and oh goodness, it was, I don't know about you, it was so boring. It really was. It was just
I just tried to do terrible things with a Bunsen burner.
I think we all
It's
did.
the only thing that interested me about chemistry.
Making fart bombs or something like
Did you go to the same school?
It was a really top school I went to, you understand? But so essentially, so what happens is you on the roll of film, you have an emulsion which is made up of gelatin and silver halides. So when light hits the silver halides, okay, it has a chemical effect, okay, and you get what's called a latent image formed. So if you look at if you have a piece of silver in your house, over time it'll go black. Okay, so that's effectively what's happening to the tiny silver halides. So when you put them into the developer, this is where you really are testing me now. This is why this is good, because I know what it is, but it's describing it. It's a really good thing. So the developer develops it into a from a latent image into the exposed silver halides into black metallic silver.
Right.
Then you put a fixer in, which stops the process. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it also prevents downward contamination of chemicals, which is not so important as upward contamination of chemicals. Then you go into the fixer, and then so the fixer turns all the unexposed silver halides into soluble salts. So they wash away, and all the exposed ones, excuse my technical nonsense, it fixes them. So essentially, after the fixer, it stabilizes the image for want of a better description. In later courses, clearly that will be much more succinct and.
Well, no, actually, you've described in 3 or 4 minutes that process.
Yeah.
Admirably, I think.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah. No, I think you have.
You're a lovely
I
chap.
think you have. Right. Shall I let you do it then?
Yeah. So what I'm doing now. In fact, now we can get the daylight in as well.
Oh. Let the daylight in.
Yeah, so Barney can see the cats and dogs.
Oh yeah. No, don't tell him the cats are outside. That caused a hell of a row just a moment ago.
He's laying there being very, very
He's
good.
being very good now. He's just cleaning himself.
Right, so what's important now is it's all about time and temperature. So I've got to mix up the developer, but before I mix up the developer, what I've got to make sure is that the tank is at a stable 20 degrees C, because there's no point in mixing.
So this is black and white film. 20 degrees is the magic number.
Yes, yeah. So 28 degrees and it's 13 minutes. So it's all about time and temperature. But what I don't want to do is mix up the developer to exactly 20 degrees, then put it into a tank which is colder or hotter. So then my solution is at the wrong temperature.
So how do you counter that?
So by doing what I do now is I'm mixing up some water at 20 degrees. It's far too hot at the moment. So I'll mix it up to 20 degrees, and then I'll pour that into the daylight developing tank, and that acts as a warming bath.
I've never done that before.
Yeah.
You can put water in, straight water as a
So it's
as a warming bath.
well, it gets it up to the right temperature. It keeps it at the right temperature, and also it keeps the tank at the right temperature as well. So we're about 20 degrees there. It's getting it near enough as It's not massively critical at this stage. So
when you were in the army, did you used to do this on location?
Yeah, it's just out in the field. We did this at Thermopylae, when
No, I'm being serious here.
but the Trojans were attacking us.
Oh, right.
Sorry, no. Yeah, we did. So, you'd do black and white, but also did this colour process. We used to do this colour process.
Did you?
Yeah, processing colour in the day, which was really interesting. It was great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour some water at 20 degrees into the daylight developing tank, ensuring that I keep my fingers over the... I keep on forgetting the name of this thing.
Passing tank.
No, not the tank, but the central doohickey spiral thing.
Is that a trade name?
It is. It's a well-known trade name. So it goes in. I put the lid on the top, and then I just agitate it, by telling it it's worthless.
But it's not Giles's stomach, by the way.
So I'm inverting the tank.
Yes.
Just a couple of times.
Now, you're not doing this with a timer running.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet, because I don't need to.
Because you're only...
Because that's just water. That's
Yes,
just
yes.
Gonna,
Sorry, excuse me.
no, that's just going to keep the tank and the film at the right temperature, but also it's preparing the emulsion. Okay, so the emulsion will swell up, and it'll mean that when the chemicals act on the film, on the emulsion, the chemicals the developer doesn't have to swell up the emulsion and then act.
I've never done this as part of my processing before. I've never put that what do you call it? Pre-soak. I've never pre-soaked it. I've just gone straight for all the chemicals.
It's great when you do large format film.
Is it?
Yeah, because when you pour out the water, you get the anti-halation layer on the back comes out, and the wash water comes out green. It's really cool. So what I've got now, I've got my developer, which is Ilford ID11.
Yeah.
And so it's a stock developer. So stock means it's working rawness. Great description there, Giles. But I need to dilute this. Now you can do this a number of ways. Going forward, I'm going to dilute it 1 to 3. So 1 part's developed, 3 parts water.
Yeah.
It just means, and so that the developing time would be a lot longer. The reason I want to do that is because of longevity of the product. It means, I'm not using so much, because this stuff is hellish expensive now. For the purpose of this at the moment, I'm doing 1 to 1.
Right.
So each spiral requires 300 millilitres of solution. So there's 3 3s are 9, so I need 450 of each. So I need 450 of developer, which I'm pouring into the graduated. There we go. Making sure.
So that's gone into a measuring jug.
Yeah,
that looks like 450, although it's just slightly above the line.
No, do you remember at school they talk about things called the meniscus what is the word?
You're putting more in.
Yeah, because it wasn't right. And you've got to get level with it, you see. So surface tension.
Right.
If you ever been at school,
Yes,
talking about surface tension, how boring that was. Well,
was that chemistry as well?
but that's physics, isn't it?
By physics, and by this stage, I was probably burning my school bag with a Bunsen burner. Sir, my school bag's on fire.
So you've got to make sure.
Leave the room, James. That's what I was aiming for.
Get out of it, man.
See you later, losers. Friday afternoon.
So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the temperature of the developer.
Yes.
Okay, because this is going to be, or whatever the ambient temperature of my office is, and it usually seems to settle around about 15 degrees. To be honest with you.
Today?
Yeah. So, but I've got to get it to 20.
How are you going to do that?
So this is one of the advantages of doing a 1-to-1 mixture. So if my developer is at 15 and I need to get
to 20,
okay, that means there's a 5-degree discrepancy there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have my water at 25, then when I mix them together, they'll be 20.
Oh.
So I'm actually look, there we go. It's just...
It's pretty much spot on 15.
So whatever it is, so whatever your temperature below 20 is, you know that your other solution, your other water solution,
has to be the other way.
Has got to be the other way. So yes, I need to do it at 25. What's really important here is ensure you don't get chemical contamination. So excuse the rather rude term, I'm anal about this, is you only use a jug intended for the developer.
Right.
Yeah, you don't
mix and match.
Definitely don't mix and match.
No.
And I'm quite rabid about that, to be honest with you. Because what you don't want to do is think that you have the right amount of developer and the right amount of solution and start processing it, and then realise and you get your film out and it's either underdeveloped or overdeveloped, or there's get these lovely marks called dichroic fogging. So film can be fogged by light, but can also be fogged by chemicals, funnily enough.
Right, okay.
I used to know all this thanks to the
You
RAF.
do, you know now. Thanks to the RAF. I thought you were Army.
No, but the RAF taught me.
Oh.
And they were just such a big fan of this. They're just absolutely brilliant. They were.
Did you have to fly while you were doing it? I know everybody from the RAF hates that. We don't just fly aeroplanes. Bunsen burner lover.
You know, earlier on you were describing my mental abilities.
Yeah.
Would you want to be in an aircraft that I was flying?
No, absolutely not.
There we go.
No. It will be a bit like that. So do you remember the Blackadder one where they're learning to fly in World War One? And the major or whoever comes in said, Lord Flashard, was it?
Yeah.
He said it's the 20-minute rule. So I've never heard of this 20-minute rule. That was the average lifespan of I don't know why we're laughing at this, of a pilot.
Join the 20-minuters.
The 20-minuters, that was right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Up in the air, whoosh, bang, back in time for tea and medals.
That was it.
No, the RAF were brilliant.
Yeah.
The guys who taught me, I mean, these are guys who back in the day sort of knew about aerial photography and I mean the precision at which they would do what they did was extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I've gone and made a bit of a cock up here because I mixed it in the wrong jug. Okay, no worries.
You used the wrong jug.
I did. I used the wrong. No, it's. I am.
Barney, bring across a damp copy of Photography Monthly. I need to whip him with it for choosing the wrong jug. Right,
So
we're
I've got
in the right jugs now.
450.
Yeah.
See, what's really interesting about this is, you know, when you do it, you know you can do a thing,
Yeah.
and you're very happy and very competent at doing a thing.
And then you have to explain it.
Explaining that thing to somebody else is not always easy. It really isn't. But
This is why it's so good that you're.
But I think this is what I love about this process, and this is what I'm going to be doing. So over the next few weeks, actually that's pretty good. It's pretty bang on 20 degrees C.
I'd say.
Fantastic. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be teaching myself.
To teach.
No, firstly, sorry, that was very no. I sound like some redoubtable
right.
old headmistress. No,
No.
back to the corner, James, you horrible creature. I'm teaching myself how to print again.
Oh, what? Well, you know how to print. You can do it. You can do it in the dark. Can you see what I did there?
But I need to. Oh, I tell you what, you're good at this. But I need to know how to do it. Not just competently, but with a sense of flair and skill and talent and all the rest of it. So, that's the thing I'm looking forward to teaching myself. But also, when I'm teaching myself, I'm going to be teaching myself to teach again. Yeah. You know, because and you get out of practice, and as you're told, you know, there's certain things I forgot what the names are. So, but if you're telling somebody, trying to show somebody how to do something, you can't go, oh, that thing there. You need to.
Well, I quite like the language. I tell you what, let's take a natural pause here for a second, just so some music can gently come up in the background and punctuate nicely to the next part of the process. This next part of the process then. Chemicals ready, temperature's good. Don't talk for too much longer so the temperature doesn't change, and we'll start to pour the chemicals into the tank and develop this film.
Yeah. So, our solution is at 20 degrees C. Because it's in a plastic container, it loses heat a lot less than it would have done in a metal container. Again, this idea of Newton's third law of thermodynamics. You know, all the stuff that we learned at school was a load of rubbish. We use it every single day.
I know. Yeah.
It's great. It's insulated.
The only thing I really passed well, I did okay in English.
Yeah.
And design and technology. So my woodworking's okay, and my English is half decent.
Well, that's
everything outside that. This is all a lesson to me.
But this is the part of it that I really love. It's understanding the physics behind it to a level, you know. So right, I'm going to stop waffling and let's get on. So again, it's all about having a process, and for me, having a process is really important. My film's ready. It's in its pre-wash.
Yeah.
The developer's ready. There's a nice gap between the developer and the next two stages, so I don't get any contamination. So the next one is stop bath and then fixer. And they're both, I'm just checking now, they're both at 20 degrees. Well, it's slightly warmer, but that's okay. What you
You have
don't-
a bit of latitude, don't
Yeah.
you, with black and white film?
The developer's the most important thing. When you go from one stage to the next, you don't want a sudden massive change in temperature, because you'll end up with a thing called reticulation, which you end up effectively having bigger grain, which
Which you don't want.
well, you can. Depends on if you want really
Well, I
big
suppose if
grain.
you wanted it for artistic reasons,
So it's knowing, Again, it's knowing what it does. Right, so
Yes.
it's all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour out the wash water.
Good.
Okay, we'll drain that out, making sure that I keep my hand over the central, that lovely doohickey thing.
The doohickey, yeah.
Which
It will forever be known now as the doohickey.
Right, we can't talk too much because we've got to get on with it.
Right, okay.
So I start the clock.
Well, you're the one who talks, not me.
It is, and I pour.
Pouring in, this is the developer.
And that goes in. So I pour it in, and you want to go in.
Clock
nice and
started
quickly.
already. How long do you agitate for?
So for the first 30 seconds. So it's the point of the agitation is to get the film coated evenly in the developer.
You taught me actually a long time ago to do a quarter turn on the way back round.
Yes, yeah.
As well as going upside down, right way up, and then a little tap. Why do you tap it?
air bells. So what you don't want to do, so as you're agitating, naturally air bubbles will form.
Yep.
Okay, and you don't want them sticking to the film. 'Cause
Absolutely
if they stick to the film, they won't be as well developed, and you'll end up on your negative, then your print having black dots on your prints.
Right.
So I'm coming around to 1 minute.
1 minute.
So I'm going to agitate for 10 seconds every minute. Here we go.
Okay. Only 10 seconds?
Yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3,
You do this to music?
4. No, I like doing this bit quiet. I love this bit quiet.
Right.
So when I'm on my own, I'll have my stool here,
Right.
and I'll just sit and just. I suppose be really careful. I don't know if you'll pick up the clock on this.
Hold on. Actually, when you're in the silence of this room of Narnia on your own, that clock is probably very loud. I just had to hold the microphone right in front of it, but I bet you when it's silent in here, that's all you can hear.
And again, that's what I love about it. There's a gentleness to it. There's one of the things
Your minute's coming up.
Yeah,
by the way.
no, you're right. One of the
Concentrate, Penfound.
so about 2 or 3 seconds before, get ready and start inverting.
One of the things you love.
One of the things I love about it is you don't necessarily have to think very much about this process. You know, it's fairly mundane. It is what it is, and I think what it does is it gives me time to think.
What do you think about?
That grenade range that is my is my head about about what I'm doing at the moment, about my life, about my stories, about photography, about my family, this whole multitude of stuff. And I've often been accused of overthinking, and my
No.
we never do that, do we? No. But I love it. You see, I love it because this allows you to think, allows you to go through all those weird and wonderful and crazy and wacky and sensible and serious ideas. And there's a structure to it. You kind of go, oh, yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah.
So 2 seconds to go.
2, 1. Radio presenters are able to talk up to the vocals on songs. You're able to talk up to the minute where you start to agitate.
And it's like when
I mean
I'm
that with a small A.
no, it's like when I'm driving and I'm parking the car, I have to turn the radio down because I can't concentrate. And so this is the procedure. This is the process for the next 13 minutes.
Does your car have one of those automatic reversing things? I think Nicola's does.
No.
Oh,
no, it's me. I'm the automatic reverse.
Well, the Kia has one that finds a space and reverses you into it. Okay, which is all. I've never done it. I've never chanced my luck with it. But Furball over there, because he flops himself sometimes. If we're not doing a long drive, I've got him. I want you to know he's all properly secured into the seat before somebody writes in and says, "Oh, you shouldn't have them." But he sometimes puts his paw on that button. So as we're leaving a car park, it's trying to park me. Agitate again.
And it'll sound how it sounds, okay. But for me, it's the seriousness of this, and why I love doing this is because it is a process. And the science behind it, it's just phenomenal. It really is. It's so clever. It's not a question of better or worse. It's just different. It's what you love. It's what I love. It's what kind of resonates with me. But one of the things I love about it is so this film that I'm processing now for you. So the light took 100,000 years odd to the photon to go from the centre of the sun to the outside of the sun, and then 8 minutes to get from the outside of the sun to India, to bounce off a subject, to get refracted, diffused, whatever.
There's a song in that.
There is, isn't there? I'm concentrating now because I'll pick up in a second, callers. Okay, so that light hit the subject, transmitted through the glass, and there's refraction and diffraction and all sorts of absorption as it hit the film, and it caused a chemical reaction. That creates a latent image. There's a physical reaction. That film that you took is here now, in that container.
That's very romantic.
But that's the wonderfulness of it. So there's a physicality to it, and when we draw it, we're going to draw it with light. When we print it, okay, it's going to be a reverse process. Okay, so you're going to provide the light source and print through it. So there's a that's what I love about it. There's this physical connection. There's this romance attached. Well, there's
4 seconds.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to shut up.
Go. You could actually do a program. What would we call it? You could do a show. There's a 13-minute show. I know some people feel uncomfortable about that number, but a 13-minute show where you just talk about photography in between the agitations.
Yes.
That could be
agitations.
Yeah, agitations. I bet there isn't a program called Agitations.
That'd be fantastic.
My good friend Hagar the Dane, Lars, he talks often about having a central thing in your business. So the brains of the business. So for you, this would be the darkroom or Narnia, yes. Would be the brains, would be the central hub of your business, of your business empire, if you like. From there, you get all these things shooting out of it. They become, so you would have teaching people how to photograph, or you might have hometown stories, which is something you're working on. These don't all have to have pound notes attached to them, of course. No. One of it, I'll let you agitate. One of it would be perhaps an exhibition. Another strand would be workshops. And that's what Lars was telling me about. And I'd not thought of business in this particular way. But there we go. Agitations. I could put that. So from the photo walk, that's the central hub. Yeah. One of those lines out of it. I'm thinking of a new feature at the moment called Photo Stories, which is going to appear within the show. But another one out of it could be Agitations, where we just talk about photographers for 13 minutes.
Yeah. So you're talking about it for 13 minutes, but for 50 seconds out of every 13.
That's it.
Out of every minute.
And occasionally we talk about the dog turning the reverse debris on the car. Here we go, 5 seconds to the next agitation.
It's interesting. What really interests me now, I think perhaps it's because I'm turned 60, and I nearly forgot how many times I did it there. Is this idea of the passage of time really, really interests me, and in some ways concerns me. And I love being 60. I just adore it. But
if you keep telling yourself, you'll believe it.
No, I do. Genuinely, I was like a kid at Christmas when I turned 60. It really was. I can't explain it. So, but weeks seem to, as Nicola and I were saying, weeks seem to just shoot past.
Yeah. Oh God.
But there's an eternity to a minute. So when you sat here quiet, not talking, or when I'm doing a print and it has to be in the developer for 5 minutes, it seems to last an eternity.
Time stops. Time slows down. Time reverses.
Well, there's.
Oh my God! I want to spend more time in here.
But
I could be 21 again.
When we get younger and look better, but that's again my love affair with science. Not that I understand it, but Einstein's Einstein's theory of, it wasn't evolution, was it? No, that was
relativity.
Darwin. Relativity. How time is relative.
I was listening in that lesson.
This is well that you and I became lovies, isn't it? Because if the future of the world's science and all this rested on our abilities, I think we'd be in
we could run stuff.
Yeah, we'd be all right.
We'd be all right.
But it doesn't have to be about that. It's not, but it is for me. It's about thinking about these things, and this is what for want of a better term, the mindfulness of the analog process gives me. It's nice and slow. It's nice and gentle. It's
4 seconds. I'm going to ask you a question in a second. In 10 seconds, and you've got 50 seconds to answer it.
3, 4. Oh, it's a bit too quick there. Where you go?
What's the most important film picture you've ever made? You have 45 seconds to the next agitation.
Oh my God, the most important film picture was taken at Auschwitz-Birkenau and at Auschwitz Camp 1, and it's of a picture of a young girl who at the time I was absolutely livid with because she was dressed in fairly scanty clothes and you couldn't really see the curves of her body. I was absolutely enraged, but then I realised what an idiot and a complete what I was, that I was judging a person in a place like that, and I think it taught me so much, that picture. And that's the most important picture I've ever, one of the few I've taken.
Blimey, I wasn't expecting that answer. 3, 2, 1. We've got 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Hello, Barney. Barney's come to. What's the matter? Do you want to go and chase the cats again?
Barney's saying, "Are you doing it all wrong, Josh? Your agitation's all wrong there, mate."
Maybe he wants to share his most important film picture he's ever made.
But that's an interesting question, isn't it? Because I'm sure with you, with anybody listening to this, they will have depending on how they're feeling at the time, they will have an importance that they will attach to a picture, or the scene that they were in. That the picture is just a remembrance of that scene, and to take it back. So I don't think there is. In fairness, there's not one. I think there's quite a few I can remember now, but that certainly was. I think they're all pretty important, to be honest with you.
No, but it's, when you ask a question like that, it's really interesting to see what the first response is, which is usually indicative of the actual true answer.
Yeah, I suppose so.
This is the last agitation, isn't it?
It's got one more after this.
Right, okay.
So you agitate up to the 10, 11. Oh, it is. Yes, it is.
It is the last agitation.
Thank God for that. I'm taking off the lid now and making sure I've got my hand on, yes, we all know it, the doohickey.
The doohickey.
So when I pour the developer out,
yes.
Okay, I'm going to start pouring the developer out at about 7 seconds, 8 seconds to go. But I'm going to keep this because I can use this again. Okay, I can do what's called a second shot. So it's come around and says 20 seconds to go.
Do you not agitate slightly now?
No.
One for the road?
No? No, it's keeping consistency.
I know.
And when you pour it out, you've got to really pour it out. So I'm going to start.
So you're pouring out with 7 seconds to go to the minute, though?
Yeah, so don't forget there's still developer on the film.
Oh,
okay, so now you've gone from an alkali solution, which developer is, to stop bath, which is yellow. The colour's yellow. It's called an indicator stop bath. There's a glurg there. And it's
and how long
it's
is
a
this?
mild, just for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Just to the top of the minute, but I'm agitating all the while. So what this does, you've got an alkali and you're taking an acid, and it basically you're neutralising the alkali with the mild acid. So this is called an indicator stop bath because I can use this stop bath over and over again, and I know it becomes ineffective when it turns purple. So this will, when there's too much developer in it, it'll turn purple. So now I'm getting to 1 minute. Okay, so now the time is not critical. Okay, so if I needed to go off to the toilet, make a cup of tea, I could do this. I could just leave this in there.
Could you make a bacon sandwich?
What, like the one I made this morning?
I was angling for a lunchtime. I was angling for a lunchtime one.
Oh, go on. Only if you bend my arm, you understand. So now there's again, time and temperature is not so critical now. Okay, getting that development stage. But at the moment, what we got in this, again, talking about science. Okay, so there's this idea of Schrodinger's cat. So Schrodinger was a theoretical physicist who did a thought experiment, that he put a cat in a box with some nuclear isotopes, and the idea was is the cat alive or dead?
Oh.
Okay, but actually you get to the stage where the cat is alive and dead. There's two states, so particles can have two states. So at the moment, this film exists in two states. It's properly developed and it's not properly developed. There's something wrong with it. So there's an ambiguity to it, which I love. Right, opening it up, I can pour away the...
So that will last another day because it's yellow.
That'll last quite a long time, and it looks like wee.
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't say that. I was thinking of something much nicer like the song by Coldplay.
So I'm going to reset the clock now.
Yep.
And so, technically speaking, the fixer...
Has done its job.
No, it hasn't done its job. It's about to do its job. The developer and the stop bath have done its job. So the fixer now is going to go into...
Oh, so I called that fix. That was stop
that was
bath.
stop bath, yeah.
Sorry. We
So-
were both calling it fix.
No, we weren't.
Oh, were you calling it stop bath?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, professionally. No. I bet we listened
I
back.
meant stop bath and then this is
I bet
fix.
we listened back to it and I'm saying
Yeah,
saying the wrong
yeah.
thing. So now, as I'm agitating it for a full minute this time, to the top of the minute rather. So what it's doing now is it's getting around all the bits of unexposed silver halides, okay, and it's turning them into soluble silver salts. When we wash it, then it's washing away those silver salts.
Right.
Okay, but even but so, in terms of how long do you fix for? Right. The standard thing is you'll do a test, and with the end of the film,
Oh, yes.
I've got there, and that's film. So what I'll do is there's got a bit of fixer on my hand at the moment.
Don't pour it onto your hand.
Oh, it's all right. I suppose I shouldn't do, but hey, can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah. So that's going purple.
Yeah. Well, that's and eventually it'll go completely clear.
And then clear. There we go.
So it's fixing it, basically. But so the idea is to know how long you fix a piece of film for. It's twice the clearing time. So you put the test would be, because I use this over and over again. The test would be you put that in the fixer, and however long it takes to clear, you double that time.
Right.
But I tend to fix all my films for 10 minutes.
Right.
So I give it a long process, and as you can hear, I'm agitating. I think there was 4. I'm agitating at the top of every minute for 10 seconds. So there's a consistency to all of this. And that's what I love about this. There's an order and a consistency to all of it.
Well, we will fast forward at this point in the recording to actually getting the film out of the tank. The film has been developed, stopped, fixed, washed, and it's ready to appear. Go on then. That's it. That's the process, isn't it? You've just got to take it out of this tank now, and let's see if this is the moment where you see if you've actually you've actually done the calculations correct when it comes to, because I used a light meter for the entire shooting experience with this Leica M3. So this is where I get to see if what I did worked.
And look, by the very nature of seeing that first frame, yeah, you did. You've got density. If you look at the rebates, i.e. the numbers on the film.
Well, we've only seen one picture.
Yeah, but I know that it's developed properly because I've seen the rebates on the film. Okay,
right.
and so I know that's right.
Well,
So
here we go. So
what I've done now is I've just emptied a bit of water at the daylight developing tank, and so what I've got a small developing print dev tray with the daylight developing tank and a jug of water in. So what I'm going to go to is my container here of lovely chemicals, and so this is Ilfitol wetting agent.
Oh, wetting agent, yes.
So
Why do you use a wetting agent?
So it's to reduce the surface tension between the water and the film. Okay, so the water drains off really, really quickly, because what you don't want to have is water stuff hanging around on the film, and because otherwise it'll create drying marks. Because look, this is not pure water. If you were using pure water, there'd be no impurities in the water itself. So there'd be.
We have particularly hard water in this area.
We do. So if you just let it dry, you may get little circles
Yeah.
of calcium and all that.
Yeah.
But when you put it in,
How much do you put in? Let me just come the other side of you.
See this? It's just a drop.
Oh, it's nothing at all.
Yeah, so I've got a 1 litre bottle here. It'll last me years, absolute years. So you don't need a lot, and you don't want to overwash it.
I'm just going to say something really bad now.
Oh.
There's just terribly black humour. That's going to outlive you, that bottle. Don't worry, I'll bring it along to your do. And we'll see you off with some wetting agent.
This bottle new, Giles. It was.
I wish I hadn't said that then.
Thanks, mate.
You're going to outlive that by many years.
Yeah, whatever. Later. Right, so I'm going to get it.
It's a good job we both like Monty Python.
So I've got a little really important bit of gear. So I've got the drying cabinet ready. What's really important? Perhaps no, not you,
Barney,
love. I
over
love
here.
you lots, but
Come on.
I don't want
You can't go in
there.
there. No. Well, he doesn't. That's the good thing about Barney dogs is they don't have excess hair.
Yeah, right.
No, they don't. They really don't. You won't find an excess hair on our carpet.
I don't trust you. So I've got the wetting agent in the water, and I'm going to
Yep.
take this all over to the drying cabinet.
Yeah.
But a really useful bit of gear to have is a small chamois leather,
Yep.
which are brilliant. So I'm going to
Just the world's smallest chamois leather.
baby chamois leather,
Usually I use those for drying off the car,
but not one this size.
but not one that size. You
So-
need a small car, very
I'm going
small
to
car.
Take a spiral out.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to crack it open. So
Yeah.
split the two halves.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put that in the
Ah.
water with the wetting agent.
Yeah.
And because my cabinet is just a bit too short, I tend to cut off the top and bottom. Okay, put it back in my pocket. So I take out the one end. I pull it out of the wetting agent, making sure that the emulsion, the soft side's on the inner face, and I just go through that a couple of times.
Oh, there's lots of pictures on there.
The water, that's great, isn't it? This is what the exciting part is.
This is very exciting.
is.
I want to see what they are.
But you've got to be patient now, you see. So you take it out of the water and just let it drip.
I don't think there'll be a sound effect here. Oh, there might be. Hold on. Did you hear that?
One single drip. And so you put the top end into the film clip and make sure it's really nice and snug.
Are these those clips where they've got big pointy bits on them and you
Yes.
stick them through your fingers?
Only if you like that sort of thing. And you put the bottom one in a clip as well. Okay.
And that's hanging there. Beautiful.
Now what you do now is, so with the film, you get two sides. So you get the emulsion side, which is matte, okay, and the water will drain off that. You get the non-emulsion side, which is shiny, and because there's greater surface tension on that, water tends to stick in bubbles to that. So you just wipe off, using your chamois leather, very gently, you just wipe off the water from the non-emulsion side.
Now, some people don't like squeegeeing, and this is like squeegeeing, isn't it?
No, this is not like squeegeeing, because the squeegee operates on both sides of the film. Okay,
Right.
and so you've got this nice wet emulsion on the
Yeah.
other side, which
Yeah.
is quite delicate, and you're putting a force to it. Now, if you have a little bit of grit in there,
Then you drag the grit all the way along.
and that's where you get the big long scratch. If you had the same here, you'd have it on the non-emulsion side, and it won't appear. Okay, but if you see now, I'm really gentle with this, and this chamois, this is dedicated to this. It doesn't get used for anything else. But if you have your look, you can see on the film there's no water.
There's no watermarks.
So,
I'm very excited about this film. Do you know why?
why is that?
This one was the one shot the day when we went out on the trains. I can see some portraits that I've made there of
can
people
see.
on the trains.
You've got some nice pictures.
Well, I hope so.
No, you have. See, this is.
Now, this was a challenge I gave myself because I got to a point of the day where I thought, I've not done any photos on the Leica. And so I gave myself half an hour to go and tell a full story of one platform at this station.
Oh, cool. Well, that sounds.
I don't remember, it was the station at the end of the line, cue the song, so I don't remember the name of the station. We'd travelled out from Delhi's older railway station, which is called Delhi Junction. That was it, Delhi Junction, not the new station. So we travelled from there. We got to a point on the line, got off, and it was at that station where I made these photographs. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they become. I shot a lot more portrait looking at this than I thought I would. Isn't that interesting? I'm not generally a portrait-orientated photographer. I shoot a lot of landscape.
Oh, that's interesting.
His orientation.
See, one of the
There's
things.
less on this film. Oh dear, what's happened?
This is you're right. This is a 12 exposure.
Oh right.
This is just a 12 as opposed to a 36.
Oh, okay.
So when did you make these?
This is a 12.
Yeah, they're 12.
I thought
24. Sorry, 24.
A 24. Oh, I started with a 24 and then moved on to 36s after that.
So when did you make these?
This
these
might have been the first or... Ooh, your clip's just come off.
So
This might have been the first or the second day. I can see halfway through there's some very, very overexposed pictures. Round about there, can you see it?
underexposed.
Underexposed?
Yeah.
What did I say? Over? I meant under.
Yeah. You were just testing me.
Yeah, I was, yeah. Well done, you passed.
Doesn't-
No, I can see it because they're so thin.
Yeah, but you get some good stuff out of that. That's
When I say thin, I mean...
Well, yeah. You were exposing for the highlights. That's what you were doing.
No, I was making a mistake.
I'm trying to be kind to you. Yeah. So the point I was making was, what these were made about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay. Part of the joy is the expectation. Part of the joy is you've had to wait 3 weeks. Now, back in the day, professionally,
Well, I'd have been in and done them on the same day.
I would have killed for, excuse the expression, but killed for the ability to, see my pictures straight away and get them out straight away. And there's this incessant rush of got to get the work out, got to get the work out. Now it's this is what's lovely. You kind of go.
Well, it's like somebody's put the brakes on.
There we go. Let it breathe. But also let your memory of it change. I don't know if anybody has that feeling when they make some images on their digital camera. They come back and they see it on the screen. They print it. It's all too quick. Whereas this, and again, it's not about it being better or worse. It's just different.
I think that was at a market. Now I'm looking at the pictures. I think that's one of the markets.
The Sadar market.
No. It was in Delhi.
Right.
Yeah, so can't remember which one, but I've got a feeling that was what that was. Right, the third one.
So it's just lovely, and there's this expectation. You've got to wait. You've got to, like a fine wine. I'm being very poetic.
Chateau Neuf de Fallover, as I call it, 1976. A particularly bad year for wine because it was the drought year. Everything shriveled up faster than a metaphor we probably shouldn't use. It wasn't a good grape year.
Not a great beer. But, and that's the last one on there.
So, and you've got to chamois that one. Let me look at the pictures see I can see where I've overexposed a load again there. But then the others look okay.
But yeah, it's underexposed now.
Underexposed. I keep saying over. Under. It's weird when you're working the other way around.
Yeah, well, it's understandable.
It's a different language.
Because in digital, because it's a positive process.
Yes.
We get so used to
Yeah.
dealing with that, and it's oh golly.
Are you saying that about the process or my pictures?
No, I'm seeing there's some really nice pictures here. They really are. Again, she said there's still Schrodinger's cat here because you're looking at them and you kind of go, oh, are they good? Are they sharp? Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, because at this point I can see there's exposures, there's good ones on there, but whether they're sharp or not, let me just have a little inspection close up. Oh, I can see some portraits. Yes.
So that's all you're going to see. I'm going to be really cruel and close.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's supposed to sound like a lock and key at Strange Ways.
I'll turn on the light source.
And that's it.
That's it. So
And now we leave it to cook.
half an hour. It'll take half an hour to dry, and then I'll leave it in there for another half an hour just to cool off, and that gives me time to get everything washed off, get the spirals dried, and then get ready for printing.
Perfect. So this is the, it's not the final stage, because the final stage would be making a print, but as good as for this process to see what images I've got, we've taken the negatives that have been produced, processed rather, and now we're going to make contacts out of them. What is a contact sheet and why is it important?
Right, a contact sheet is a way of you being able to see in positive what your negatives have.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, you can read your negs, and there's you get used to.
Scan them, couldn't you?
Yeah, scan them, read. But it's just to be able to see it, and it makes so much more sense to see a positive image. So a contact is exactly what it says. There's a contact between the it's not projection printing. This is contact printing. So you have a piece of paper at the bottom, a sensitized piece of photographic paper.
Yep.
On top of that, you have the your negative sheet. And then on top of that, you have a glass sheet to keep them all flat. And you make a series of test exposures, which is what I'm going to do now. So I've opened up the box of paper, which is Ilford multigrade resin coated paper, and I've taken out a really thin strip. So it's probably about 1.5 inches wide by 12 inches long, and because I don't want to waste paper. So I've closed the box up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this strip of paper, the sensitized paper, behind the negative sheet, okay, and then I'm laying that down on the baseboard of the enlarger. So I've got a strip of tape on the baseboard, so I know where to place it properly. And so what I need to do now is take my glass sheet. So it's a big sheet of toughened glass. I'll lay that over the negs.
Yeah.
Difficult to think of words there. Right, so I'm going to set my enlarger time. So I'm going to have it wide open. Okay.
The lens on the enlarger,
the lens
wide open.
is going to set to f8. I'm going to print at grade 2, so it's a very soft grade of paper. Okay, so I want, because I just want to see what's on it. I don't want any kind of harsh blacks and whites. I want to see what's on it.
Okay.
And I know in terms of the how far the light source is away, it's not going to be a very long enlargement. But for the purposes of this, we're going to start at 2 seconds. So I'm winding down the timer.
So this is an automatic timer, which is connected to your enlarger to turn the light on and off.
Yes. So I'm going to make an initial exposure of 2 seconds.
Right.
So the light goes on in 2 seconds. So what I'm going to do now, with a big piece of black card, I'm going to cover up a small portion of that, of the paper and the film, and I'm going to give it another 2 seconds. And I'm going to keep on doing that. So that's 2, that'll be 4 seconds.
Oh, so now you work out with every single 2 seconds that you're, is it flashing? This is not flashing, is it?
No, exposing. So
exposing, flashing something else, isn't it?
6. And
then you work out what time we need to actually make.
Yeah. So it's a way of, if you think about it in terms of your camera.
Yeah.
Okay. On your camera you have a meter to determine your exposure. Okay. So that's what I'm determining now. So I'm determining it through experiment, really.
Right.
So I have we're in red light now.
Yeah. Okay.
So this paper is not sensitive to red light. Although if you leave it out for hours and hours, it will be. Okay, there's a certain amount of time it's not. But in terms of the amount of time we're working, we can work in red light. We can see what we're doing. I've got all my chemicals ready. It's the same process as film. We go into a developer, we stop development, and then we go into a fix. It's exactly the same idea.
And then wash as well?
Yeah, wash and dry. And again, it's the same process. So I've got my clock ready, and I start my clock. And as I start my clock, I put the paper in.
So the paper goes into the developer for how long?
Yeah, so for 3 minutes. So
3 minutes.
I put it in emulsion side down, okay, and I agitate. And again, the idea of agitation, because what you want to do is you want to get the chemicals around the paper and around the emulsion. And straight away, can you see? Straight away, it's starting to come up. And this is what I love. I really do. You can start to see. And so
all those detective movies. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing, sunshine.
I don't think Columbo ever did any processing.
Did he not? No, not even on his own times over there. Right. So there's an important part of this is you don't judge the exposure at this stage. This is why having a process is really, really important.
Yeah.
and you do the same thing all the time. So you let it develop for 3 minutes. Okay, so
we're only 1 minute in.
Yeah. So and
but
again,
it looks like it's already developed.
it does, but it's not
Completely.
It's not.
Is it not?
No. So I do.
So you're turning it over with a sort of silver
Yeah. So a pair of print tongs.
print tongs, right?
So essentially, I did exactly the same, and every minute I flip the print over twice. But then also I just gently agitate, because what you want to do is
By agitating, you're moving the developer within the tray by just lifting the tray up and down.
Yeah, and so because it's paper, what you don't want to happen, and it's not so important on a test strip, but if you imagine a full piece of paper in there, and it'll buckle, it'll warp.
Right.
So you don't want a bit of the paper sticking out of the developer and other paper. So you want the chemical to act on the paper all the time. What's fun at the moment is I'm getting used to these print tongs, and I'm sort of getting there. Sometimes it takes me a bit of a while to.
In our house, we have nicknames, a bit like Cockney rhyming slang, but not. So these would be called your Pete's.
Your Pete.
Yeah,
Pete Tom.
Pete Tom, which won't mean anything to an audience outside the UK. Well, it might do in Ibiza, I don't know. But Pete Tong is a dance DJ, an infamous dance DJ, a very famous dance DJ in the UK. Been doing it donkeys. I think he's older than me. He's still doing it. He's brilliant. He's a dance DJ, runs a record label. So we wouldn't call those tongs, we'd call those Pete's.
Get your
Pass the Pete's.
I, on the other hand, wouldn't. Sounds very stubborn. So right, we're coming up to 3 minutes. So really, what you want to do is you want to take it out of the developer in enough time to allow it to drain off. Now, it being a small test strip, there's not a lot of liquid to drain off. So take it
5 seconds to go.
5 seconds to go, and you just let the liquid drain off.
Yeah.
And then on the top of the minute, you drop it into the developer, making sure your print tongs...
Drop it into
the stop bath.
Stop bath.
So thank goodness you're here to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
No, it's only because I've been listening to you. I'm learning.
No.
I'm Matt Sillers at the Inverness Darkroom.
Yes,
Thanks to you two, I know I can remember stuff I used to do in class.
Matt, you'd be absolutely disgusted what I'm doing. It's a rank amateur, that Giles.
No.
Right, so here we go.
I think he and you would have a great time together.
This is... I'm looking forward to meeting Matt one of these days. So the important point is when you're putting your test strip from the developer into the stop bath, is drop the paper into the stop bath. Don't let the print tongs from developer print tongs get into the stop bath.
Oh, because you're contaminating otherwise.
So I'm just agitating for a minute. It's just to stop the process. It really is.
So you need a minute.
It's do you know what? Probably you probably need less, but to make sure that everything is done properly.
So from stop to fix.
And now I go over and I use the same process. I just drop the print strip into the fixer, and this is for 3 minutes again.
But aren't you kind of cross-contaminating anyway by putting in a strip of film that's been in the previous solution?
Yes, but it's downstream contamination.
Right.
Okay, so the stop bath acts as a way of reducing the contamination to the fixer, because the stop bath is develops an alkaline. The stop bath is a weak acid, and so is the fixer.
Right.
So the contamination between the stop and the fix is tiny. It really is, but a tiny amount of stop bath in the developer or fixer in the developer will really mess things up.
So if you went upstream the other way.
Yeah, you don't want to do.
A bit like putting unleaded fuel in a diesel car.
Yeah.
You can sort of get away with that a little bit, but not the other way around.
Absolutely, I think so.
I've done that on holiday.
Have you? Oh, I've done that as well.
A long time ago.
But again, the importance here is to have the same process.
Yeah.
Okay. And to make sure you do the same process, so you carry out the same functions. Because then, if you see an anomaly and you see something is wrong, you can go, okay, what did I do differently? You can go back and go, oh, actually, I did that, and then there's a good idea for tracing it. But also, and it can sound how it likes, but what I love is the gentleness of it.
How long does it remain at this process? It seems to have been a lot longer than the stop.
So this needs 3 minutes.
Oh, so it's 3, 1, 3.
Yeah, so the fixer. So I tend to, you don't want to do it too much, particularly, so this is resin coated paper. So effectively you're printing on a piece of paper which has a plastic coating to it.
Got you.
And so the chemicals don't seep into the base. On fibre base, if you imagine a piece of paper, like a piece of card, you soak that, the chemicals are soaked into that. It requires a lot more washing. Yeah, we've got another 30 seconds to go. And also with fibre base, you don't want to over fix it.
Yeah.
Because then the washing time will take too long. So it's a happy medium between all of them. So at this stage, we could actually turn the lights on.
Right.
But I like to keep it.
Like to keep in the red light.
Yeah, and so I'm at the top of the minute, and I drop it into the first wash.
Right. So what's in the wash? This is just
water.
Just water.
That's just water. So
There's no wetting agent or anything in here, is there?
So
No.
I make sure that the paper's closed, the box of paper's closed, and I can turn on the white light.
Do you know another thing about Matt? Bright lights. I just got used to the red. Matt is fastidious about that box.
Yes. Yeah.
That is, and I think it's drummed into us that every single piece of paper is about 70p or something.
Well, so
maybe it's more.
So that box of 50 sheets is £60.
All right.
Okay, for fibre base, it's nearly £100. It's £113 for a box of paper.
Wow.
For 50 sheets. So
Good
it's
Lord.
expensive.
Yeah.
It really is. That's why we kept small strips.
Yeah.
So we just washed it off, and then this is the exciting bit. We look at the test strip.
All right.
Okay.
Ooh.
And that's it. And so we get
This is the mosque.
we need a print squeegee. So I have dedicated squeegees.
I didn't think you liked squeegees.
It's different on prints,
Right.
because this is much it's a very delicate piece of rubber, and also you're not damaging your original. Okay, and also this is much more rubber, and you just very gently wipe off the water. Now with resin coated, you're able to judge the density, and all we're looking at the moment is density. You're able to judge the density. With fibre base, there's a thing called dry down. So as it dries, it gets darker. You don't have this problem with resin coated. That's why it's good for doing it. It's a quick process. So we're judging it. So if you look at it, so that was 2 seconds.
4,
okay,
6,
2, 4, 8, 10. I think I went up to 12. So I reckon it's about 3.5 seconds. So 2. That's 2. See that 2 seconds is too light.
So that's 2 there. That's 4. That's 6.
Yeah. So
6 looks a bit cloudy.
It does. So I reckon about 4.5 seconds. Okay. So if you look at that spot there in terms of a good range of tones between your highlights and your shadows.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll do a confirmation strip, again making sure.
Confirmation. Oh, that's made me nervous.
Make sure your hands are dry.
Yeah.
When I was in the war, here we go.
Uncle Albert's story about to start.
When I was being trained by the amazing RAF instructors at RAF Cossett, the Joint School of Photography.
Yeah.
We
Joint Squirrel of Photography.
School of Photography. What do you think I did in my life, for goodness sake?
Well, I don't know these terms.
So we had to. Your right hand had to be sort of always kept dry. So when you were processing, you had to do the processing with the left hand, and your right hand you had to keep it in your pocket, so you kept it dry.
Oh, it's very.
Oh no, it's just good though.
Is it a good process?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going into red light now. So I know it's like on my timer. I can set my timer. I'm going to set it to 4 seconds.
I thought you said 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4.
Controversial. What about 4.2?
Go on then, just for you. 4.2 seconds.
Split the difference, as my mum would have said.
That's me old mother. So opening the box up again, and inside the box is a plastic bag, and then I'm going to take out another sheet of.
So this is now the full sheet.
No. I want to do another test.
At 4.2, just to check.
At 4.2. So
this is confirmation, isn't it?
This is the confirmation.
We're back. Yes, we're back.
I put the piece of paper behind it, making sure the emulsion, the shiny side, is facing up.
A good way of checking emulsion is it's if you were to put it to your lips, it would stick to your lips. Emulsion side, wouldn't it?
It's a really good way, and also there is a different feel to it as well.
Yeah. Right, test strips done. It did work out, funnily enough, that it was 4 seconds and not 4.2. How could I ever have doubted you?
How could you ever doubt me?
Yeah.
So, because I know the exposure now, and
Yeah.
it kind of works. It does work. So I'm now going to. So you've got 3 sheets of negs. I'm going to expose each set of neg, and I'm going to process them at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So it's just with contact printing, I tend to do when I've got lots of contact prints to do. I tend to do it in batches of 4. Okay, and you'll see how I'll explain to you how I do it. So I will expose each sheet of negatives.
Yes.
Put the paper to the side, and then when I'm ready, when each 3 have been exposed, then I will process them all 3 at the same time.
Now, you're not taking them out of the plastic sheets?
No, out of the neg bag. No,
Out of the neg bags?
No. Well, that's the nice thing about it. So
you don't have to... Yeah, right, okay.
I mean, you do get contact frame printers, which are really nice.
Yes.
You know, but I like this. So the neg bags I use, the print file neg bags, they're archival ones, and they're really quite tough.
Yeah.
And so you can project through them.
But if you put glass on top of that, doesn't that reflect the light coming down onto it?
No, because it's straight through. You may get a tiny amount of Newton rings.
Right.
So when you get 2 glossy surfaces put together, you get a refraction. But that's irrelevant in here. It really is. The point of a contact print is just to have a quick view.
It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect.
No, because it's not going to be.
No.
Well, I mean, you want to get it looking good. You know,
Was that the doorbell, by the way?
I don't think so.
No, I just heard a...
I don't think so.
No?
No. That was Hannah Gimlet.
Oh,
Very kind of it.
hi, Hannah.
Very kind of it to respond
We're
to my...
talking about you.
Thank you very much.
No, well, I thought it sounded like the doorbell because you are waiting, and I feel like I've
No, you're not. No.
I've sort of somehow engineered this into our conversation, but you've bought another inkjet printer, haven't you? That's what we're waiting for this morning. The one that he had before, ladies and gentlemen, he had what I can only refer to as a Basil Fawlty moment with, what was it, the Red Austin that he drove, which he took a branch to, and I've told you before! And then he beat the car with a branch because it wouldn't start or something.
I'm not proud of it, but it was a useless piece of rubbish, and I gave it flying lessons.
Yeah.
So I decided to. It's a justification. Is that because with my work, I'm going to be offering people.
Yeah.
This is not an advert, but I'm offering people to buy silver gelatin prints, but also inkjet prints.
Inkjet, yes.
So I'm getting a nice printer.
Oh, you got a nicer printer.
Yeah.
Right.
Really nice printer.
We used to, there was a radio station I worked on where we had a feature on a Friday afternoon called Smash Up, which was, there was a chap called Howard. He was very funny, actually, a particular sense of humour that he had. And Smash Up on a Friday was all about, because we had so much kit at this radio station, it was never overused. And I love sound design, so this played right into my passion, to use the overused P word. And so Howard would essentially, in the studio, bring in a piece of equipment that we painted the narrative if it didn't work anymore. So listeners would phone in and tell Howard to what degree he was allowed to smash it up. And Smash Up one Friday, he brought in a computer box, but the computer box that he brought in was one that was just on the IT desk. It just needed a new Ujima Flippy 1000 or something put into the side of it. That's all it needed. It was a pretty newish computer. And Howard took it up into the studio, and listeners said complete smash up, as they often did. And he took a hammer to it and smashed this box to bits, only for the head of IT to come up about half an hour later and say, anybody seen there was a box on my desk. I just needed to fix it was for the chief financial officer. That was my favourite smash up.
Did they ever find out?
Well, I was the programme controller at this radio station, and so I suppose I did that thing that politicians never do, by accepting responsibility for something that I'd allowed to happen, because I liked Smash Up as a feature. I didn't get fired, but I did have some very stern words aimed in my direction from the CFO.
I'm not proud of my little...
No, well, we've both done smash-up moments in our lives. Anyway,
back to
Batch processing.
Back to Wimbledon for the cricket. Right, I'm going to turn the...
That's like one of those tea breaks where they have to find something to talk about when it's raining.
Let's talk about Giles and his lovely relationship with inanimate objects.
Yeah.
Right, so this time I'm going to take out
Piece of paper.
a full piece of
Yes.
9.5 by 12 inch resin coated paper.
We've already identified this as an expensive process, this bit, which is why I have the iPhone, which I use for my recording, covered up so that we don't get any light leak. It didn't matter so much with the test strips.
Yeah, so I'm lining up the negative sheet on top of the paper. It's taking a few minutes to line it all up and make sure it's all registered properly. So I know where that needs to go on the baseboard, and then I get the. That's why. So when you're printing, everything, I believe everything's got to be ordered and it's got to be tidy. So when you go to get something, it works and it's there. And 3.8 seconds, I'll make the exposure. It's
Done.
That's lovely. So I take. I'm just going to repeat that process. And
So you're going to put all three in the solutions at the same time?
Yeah. So it's called batch processing.
It's like speed dating.
But this is what's really interesting. Actually, there's a great video on YouTube about a guy. I can't remember his name. A really lovely chap. He's talking about photography before Lightroom and Photoshop, and where all these terms came from. Like batch processing is burning and dodging and all the rest of it. Batch processing is what you do in the darkroom. So I've lined that up again.
I noticed, by the way, you've made yourself a load of tools for dodging and burning.
Yes, no, I do. I wish I was one of those amazing people who could do it with their hands. And is it not Martin Bell?
Robin Bell.
Robin Bell, who's just a genius at printer.
Yeah.
You see him working.
Well, there's the second one just gone through.
Yeah, the second one's gone through. You see him printing, and it is a master craftsman at work. It really is. You see him working.
I've been very lucky to have gone to his darkroom to interview him.
I'd love to see that. I really would. But I'm because I've got fingers like sausages, and Neanderthal hands. I like little cut-up shapes. So doing the final one now, and again, it's all really about just taking your time.
Yeah.
Making sure it's all nice and light.
Although you've got quite a speed on here, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing is we have a process, and you said this before. I'm a fairly kind of, I don't know, strange person, I guess.
No, I never said strange. Methodical.
Well,
complex.
But in my general life, I'm a bit sort of, like a bunch of spaghetti thrown at a wall. But when it comes to photography and printing and processing,
fastidious.
I like the process, and again, that's thanks to those amazing people at the RAF. One of the guys, a guy called Mal Price. Oh, he was just
Was he your tutor?
Yeah, just absolutely inspired me. Yeah. Right, so we've got the 3 sheets of paper.
Yep.
And this is where it gets fun. So, and this time I'm going to use my hands.
What? In the solution?
Yeah. This is great. This is fantastic.
You're not supposed to do that.
Well, it's going to be all right. It really is. It's coming loose. Right, so I'm going to reset it to 0. I'm going to put the first piece in.
Yep.
I'm going to press it down.
Right.
Put the second piece in.
Press it
down. This is all emulsion side down. Third piece, press it down. So
but now, what do they stick to each other?
I'm going to take the bottom piece and I'm going to bring it up. The bottom piece, bring it up.
I see.
I'm jiggling them all the while.
This would be tricky to do with tongs.
Yeah, that's why I can't. So in the old days, and I think Ilford do this. They're master printers. In the old days, Ilford used to do a sample set of all the papers they produced.
Right.
So they were actually printed by individual people. Amazing, these guys. They really were. And so these guys would print, hundreds of prints at a time, like I'm doing now. So I'm just constantly agitating, bringing them out.
God, what was the state of their hands?
Look, I'll be really straight with you. When I'm doing test strips, I'll use the tongs. I actually really like getting my hands wet. I really do. There's a connection. This is this is the way one of my absolute heroes used to print, a guy called W. Eugene Smith.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the man is just an absolute master.
Yeah.
And, the way...
He was one of the questions we have on the Extra Mile. I think he was one of your dinner guests.
He was, yeah, very much so.
So if you're listening to the Extra Mile today, here's a shameless plug. This conversation goes on and gets a bit tricky in places, actually, in a feature called Agitations. End of plug.
Thanks for that.
You should all be supporting the podcast.
Absolutely.
Sam says I need to be more commercial. She says, how many people listen? I say, about 4,000 per episode. And she says, right, how many people are supporters and members? I said, well, not everybody can be, because not everybody has... spare cash, particularly these days, to support the cast in that way. And that's my way of sort of dodging around the question. And she'll keep asking. I say, well, 10%. 10%, she says. That means 90% don't.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get into an argument between you and Sam. But I'm a fan. I know genuinely. No, I am. I think it's not kind of a big loving or anything like that. But it's what you do on this podcast is extraordinary. It really is. And it's I was talking to somebody online about the point of social media the other day, and I suppose in a roundabout way, perhaps what you do is social media. But you connect people, and so now I know people because of you around the world. On my own right, and in our own right. Thanks to you, thanks to your podcast, and brilliant. Right, that's enough of
Dung, 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 end of commercial break. Right, it's gone. So we've done full 3 minutes in the developer. Right, so
that's the developer dripping off the.
Okay, but it's never going to be completely dry, is it? Obviously.
No. But you'll get
enough to put it into.
You can hear it. You'll hear it when it stops dripping, and then that just.
And then into the stop.
Yeah, and so you just repeat the process again.
Now this is only a minute in the stop.
Yeah. So what's interesting when you do it with your hands, you can really feel it. So if you want to, here's a good thing. If you want to simulate what it feels like, so get some washing up liquid on your fingers, not a huge amount. In a container. Yeah. Put a container next to it with a bit of vinegar, and put your hands from one to the other, and you'll feel the difference. So in the developer, because it's an alkaline, it's quite soapy. It's quite sort of more soapy. Put it into the mild acid bath, and it goes straight away. And that's what you're doing to the thing. So
20 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm going to take these out now.
Oh, before the minutes.
Yeah, because there's still
stopping.
Still stop on it, so it's fine. And I can feel that the stop has worked.
You can feel that the stop's done.
Yeah, you can feel the difference.
Right.
Because you can feel the.
So 3 minutes into fix.
3 minutes in the fix, and again.
See, I was listening.
Well, thankfully you're correcting me most of the time when I'm getting it wrong. No, you idiot! But
I think actually being able to talk and explain a process while you're doing it is not always easy. I found this actually with Jack and his driving lessons at the moment. It's something that you do so automatically. What's it called? Unconscious competence?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
When you're explaining it to somebody and you become conscious about, you're very aware of what you're trying to explain. I don't always find it very easy.
This is something I'm teaching myself to do again. I'm teaching myself to teach again. So when I was a sergeant at the, and I taught...
During the war.
I taught for 2 years at the Defence School of Photography.
Right.
And you got into the mode of teaching. You got into the mode of being able to explain the most ordinary things in a way that anybody could understand. Yeah. And when you just do it, and this is clearly people will hear talking to you. I'm mumbling my words on what is it, all the rest of it. And I know what I'm doing. There's not a problem. But explaining that, and actually this process of learning that again, I really like.
This has been one long training session for you, this episode.
No, it is, and I'm enormously grateful to be able to to be able to talk through this process, and that's why I love what I'm doing at the moment. So just for my own stuff is to be able to teach myself again. Yeah, I love it. So that's all done. So I'm going to drain these off now.
Okay.
And then these can
then it goes in for a wash.
These can go into the washer.
So this is straight water.
Yeah.
No, it's hard water in our area, in this town that we live in. Is that, which is not brilliant. I mean, you can see what it does to kettles. What does it do to prints?
Well, nothing, because I say nothing. Nothing of any great significance, because it's not in the water for a long time, and it's not being allowed. The water is being removed, so it's not allowed to drain. I'll pick up my cloth on the floor. We can now go to white light, making sure the bottle...
Oh, hide your eyes, everybody.
Woo! And there you go. There are your prints.
Now, look at these. Oh, there's I'm so pleased that the train ones are the first ones I'm looking at. Oh, got some portraits in there. Oh, really? There's the ones from the mosque. Oh, am I allowed to touch them?
Yeah, of course, yeah. They're yours.
Yeah, no, but they're in the wash.
Oh, they're fine. They're very stable.
Oh, there's the portrait. There was a young lady I spoke to just for a short while at the mosque. That's a nice portrait, that. Sorry, I realise I'm mumbling now.
No, because it's great.
Oh, the street ones. Oh, are we doing a selfie?
Yeah, we're doing a selfie.
I never know what to do in a selfie.
Look gorgeous.
I've only ever done one selfie with one famous person. I've told the story on the podcast so many times I won't bore you with it. It was with Lloyd Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Very, very impressed.
Wasn't particularly impressed with me, to be honest. But there we go. That's a story for another day.
That's nice.
Oh,
That nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I like the one on the train. Pity I didn't get the guy properly there.
Oh, you did, I think. But can you see here? So this is the point of the contact print. So if you look at them, not every single frame is properly exposed. Some of them are.
So the cars, for example, when we went over the flyover, and there's the traffic. There was the Delhi traffic jam in the evening, and I could see that needs to be.
But that's not the point of the contact print.
It's overexposed here.
Is to be able to see what I think you're looking here is more about content. Because a lot of people will look at the contact print under a loupe and say, is it sharp, and inspect it. So it's a good way. This is exactly what you'll get on Bridge or on Lightroom. So this is what on Lightroom when you see your library, this is what you're seeing. You're seeing effectively a contact print. That's great.
There's something really rather wonderful about holding a proper contact sheet, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, look at that.
What?
Look at that. The mother and child. Oh, mate, that's beautiful.
Oh, I can tell you the story about her. Yeah. She was there, I think she was there on her own with this little lad, and I was just sat next to her, and I suddenly became very aware that they were looking at me. I think I was a bit of entertainment.
That's great.
And so they didn't speak a word of English.
Doesn't matter though.
My Hindi isn't exactly very strong, and we just connected through making a photograph.
See, this is where I get really excited. That's why I just adore photography so much. You may ask me a question earlier on. Okay, when we were having breakfast. What was it when we were doing the agitations? Can't remember. About, is there something you wish you'd have taken the picture that somebody else has taken, all this? So I look at these pictures of yours now, okay, and for me, it's not that I want to take your pictures, but I look at these and I'm so truly inspired by what you've done here, okay, that I go, I want to go back to India. I need to go back to India.
Oh, bless you.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true, because you kind of look.
Well, you can. Here comes the second plug. 7th to 16th of March, 2026. Kolkata and Varanasi.
Anybody would think this is all scripted.
I know. Honestly, it's not. I'm just being an opportunist. I'm listening to Sam for once in my life.
It's good. Come on, I could do a schmaltzy 1950s ad. Well, infomercial.
Infomercials. Yeah.
So now I'm putting the prints into a washer.
So this wash is fantastic because when you turn on the water, it's there's a mechanical doofry inside that makes it just go backwards and forwards. Thanks to water pressure.
It's nice and gentle.
Yeah.
It's,
and that's almost the end of this show, actually.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So all that's left to do, it'll wash for about 5 minutes. Doesn't want to go backwards and forwards. It'll wash for about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then we'll dry it, and then you can inspect it.
Marvellous. Thank you, Giles. What a lovely process this has been on this show today. And I know at times we've sort of, perhaps me, I think it's something I'm quite enjoying, meandering conversations. We've meandered, but I think meandering is part of the process of producing proper, hold in your hand, silver gelatin prints.
Proper photography.
Now you will upset people.
No, I don't care. I don't. For me, look, I'll put that caveat, because I wouldn't be so up myself to say that. For me, this is photography.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What a joy to spend time with Giles this week. Really, I know it. Sometimes it might feel that he, with Mally at times, is like a co-host. I prefer to think of this as co-friends. Speaking of which, the conversation continues on the Extra Mile show today, where Giles is back to do two things. One, he's going to face 12, I think it might become 13 questions, for that feature called Agitations, which is probably a one-off feature. Plus, he very kindly helps me print up my hero image from India, my film hero image, that is. So if you can't wait until next Friday and would like to walk a little bit further together, then that's what the Extra Mile edition is all about. You go the extra mile for me, so I go the extra mile for you. You can hear it by becoming a supporter of the show for as little as the price of a cup of medium latte each month. If you do join us, join through the page on the website at photowalk.show. That's the best place to join. You can use apps to listen to the show from whatever flavour you like later on. But for us, it's much better if you join through photowalk.show. And for you too, actually.
On this week's Extra Mile.
There's controversy whether it was staged or not. So absolutely a great picture can lie. The truth is dependent in the honesty of the photographer and also the viewer. That's the sad thing. Any picture can lie. I was thinking about this the other day, that how lucky, how fortunate I am to be in the position that I am, to be a photographer. There's two things I wouldn't compromise. Well, three things I wouldn't compromise. The two things are my family and photography and my friends, my small group of friends.
If you go to the website, follow the link that says Extra Mile and the orange support button, orangey yellowy orange, and you get to listen to 5 minutes of the show for free. Our PS to the show is to come, but before that, we need a play-out song, just to make some final frames to. Or think about what's been said today. There's been so much of it. I'd love to play some darkroom Dylan, having looked at Giles's record collection in Narnia, but due to rights issues on podcasts, just for the moment, this is not possible. But I do have a song I can play that I think works, from Michael Shines, who we featured before. This song is called Making History, which really I think is perfect for the pictures we make, no matter how large or small.
Out here dancing like an acrobat. You got more to hide than a Siamese cat. Cold and labor chasing after you. They tell you what to wear and tell you what to do. Out there living by an old salt mine. You wonder all the way and wonder all the time. Out here making history. And if you're jumping from the window, close your eyes and hop right down to me. Out here dancing with a broken shoe. You're a model A, it's really coming through. can hardly even see. Tell me, what do you want more than here and now? A spinning clear mind on a merry-go-round. While you're waiting for the future, we'll be out here making history. While you're thinking about the last one, close your eyes and hop right down to me. You were born to quote the Raven. We're not coming, I believe. Getting tired of all the Joneses, trying to make a home between our hearts. Tell me we're together when it all goes dark, after all the money and the fame departs. When a tree falls down, does it make a sound? Who even really cares if we won't be around? While they're waiting for the future, we'll be out here making history. While they're waiting for the future, we'll be out here making history.
That's Making History by Michael Shines. Just a few closing thoughts before the PS. My sincere thanks to you. If you are or you're about to become an extra miler, we'll keep building this wonderful community of kindness in the photographic and walking world together. A safe place, I like to think, to share our thoughts, our ideas about this thing that we love. A few mentions for those who smooth the voyage for me. My thanks to Neil Ford, who looks after IT. When your tech says no, our head of IT, Sir Neil of Ford, says, let's fix it. Remote support with a human touch. Even wears Crocs so he doesn't leave marks on your carpet. He does it virtually as well, obviously. If you drop me a message, I'll link you two together. My thanks also to Andrea Gilpin, who keeps a watchful eye over Instagram, as does Kelly Mitchell for Facebook, and to Michael Mixon, who helps the show with research. Right, a postscript for the show. Today is from W. Eugene Smith, one of Giles's favourite photographers, as you will find out in the Extra Mile today. Extra Mile number 135. W. Eugene Smith was an American photojournalist, known for his uncompromising depth, emotional honesty, and the belief that photography should serve humanity above all else. Hear, hear. And I think the PS talks about humanity. It also talks of what Giles will be mentioning on our First Encounters course on Thursday. I say mentioning, talking all about storytelling and people. So from W. Eugene Smith, become neighbours and friends instead of journalists. This is the way to make your finest photographs.
What's there to hold in the light of this moon? My mind keeps searching, but my heart decides. Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to hold. The space unravels when you let go.
The Photo Walk is a Loading Zone production.